What's up, guys? My name is Zach, and today I am driving a 2019 Chevy Sonic Premier Sedan. Up front is a 1.4 liter turbocharged inline 4, and down below is a 6-speed automatic transmission. Now, I am super excited to be driving this here Sonic for a couple of reasons. First of all, I've never driven a Sonic before. I've done the Aveo, and I've done the Bolt, which are similar vehicles, and we'll talk about the Bolt a little bit later on, but never officially a Sonic. So today, we're gonna check that off our list. But before we get on to anything else, I have a website, ZackPradel.com, where you can buy stickers and other merchandise when it becomes available. You could also submit your own vehicle to be reviewed by me through a quick and easy submission form, and you get a video of your car just like this one. And you could read my behind the scenes blog to see what I'm filming before it comes out on the channel. But let's get back to that Ecotec 1.4 liter under the hood. Well, makes about 136 horsepower, and you'd also find this engine in the Chevy Cruze. I have reviewed one of those with the same engine setup. However, that one actually came with a manual, and so it's a pretty simple economy engine from Chevy and GM at the time. Now, this car did have its water pump replaced at 36,000 miles. And are these the most reliable, crazy, amazing engines? No, but a 1.4 liter putting out almost 140 horsepower, it's not bad. I definitely don't feel like the Sonic is underpowered in any way, which is definitely a very nice feeling. Getting on the highway won't be scary, especially comparing this car to its rival, the Mitsubishi Mirage. It has a whole extra cylinder as well as a turbo strap to it, so I think you're in pretty good hands. Like I said, paired to that 1.4 is a 6-speed automatic transmission. Nothing crazy here, it's shifting, it's doing the job, but I'm very happy to report that it is not a CVT. It is a traditional transmission, and I like that a lot. Last but not least, the Sonic is front-wheel drive. So with that out of the way, let's talk about the interior. Well, in front of me, I have a bunch of gauges. On the far left is my fuel. Then I get my tachometer and speedometer. And then on the right, I actually get a little screen. This screen is customizable. I can swipe through a couple different things here with some pretty good information. GM and Chevy have always been good about giving you a lot of info. However, it is only one color. It's really just black and white. So unfortunately, it doesn't feel that nice. It doesn't feel very modern, but that's okay at the end of the day. On the steering wheel, on the left, I do get cruise control options as well as a heated steering wheel. And off to the right, I have my voice commands, source, skip track, and volume. The overall look and feel of the steering wheel still feels very modern here 3 years later, which is always good to see in a more economy-based car. Off to the left, I do have my climate control vent and my headlight switches, as well as gauge dimmer switches. And on the door, I have my lock and unlock latch to get in and out, power mirrors, and power windows. Moving into the center, I get 2 climate control vents and the infotainment system. This is very typical Chevy infotainment system, and I like it. It's actually very friendly to use. It has a lot of good colors in it, and overall, I enjoy the experience quite a bit. And it does come with a backup camera per the government requiring one after 2018, so this makes that cut off by 1 year, and I actually like it. It's a pretty clear and concise backup camera. Then down below, we do have the central locking as well as hazard switch and our climate control options. I don't get dual zone or anything like that, but I do have heated seats, which is very, very nice. Interestingly enough, the passenger heated seat, you have to press in the dial for where to send the climate controls, which looks a little cluttered, but that's okay. Then we get a little cubby with some USBs and aux in, and then we have the shifter itself. The shifter looks and feels fine. It is sort of a Chevy parts bin part, but overall it's still functioning, still looks decent, and I'm not mad about it in the slightest. Then we do have our trunk release and our traction control, and then we have our cup holders. So we will do a big friggin' bottle test here in the Chevy Sonic, and unfortunately it looks like it wants to fit, but alas, at the end of the day, it does not. Again, its rival, the Mitsubishi Mirage, also failed, so you can't knock it too hard. Then I do get a 12-volt outlet, and the seats. The seats are decently comfortable. They have this nice perforated leather to them. Like I said, they are heated, which is really, really nice. And overall, they're not punishing me, which a lot of Chevy base model seats, like in the Bolt, it actually felt like compressed cardboard boxes. It was very uncomfortable. This isn't the most comfortable thing on planet Earth, but it's fine, and it's doing the job, and I'm not mad about it. Speaking of seats, however, we do have back seats, so let's go do a back seat review. All right, so we're in the back of the 2019 Chevy Sonic Premier. And a couple of things to note. First of all, knee room isn't fantastic, but it's also manageable. This seat could be moved up a little bit and life would be a little bit easier. And honestly, at that point, my knee is only hitting on the left side over here and not the right side. I don't get a center console or anything like that. I don't really get any amenities besides like a light, which I guess is kind of nice. But other than that, it's a usable back seat for putting people back here in an economy car. Don't expect it to be a Rolls Royce. As long as you set your standards properly, you'll be totally fine and it won't be bad. Let's go hop around the very back. We'll take a quick look at the trunk and cargo space, and then we'll talk about the looks. All right, around the back of the Chevy Sonic Premier, and I do have a trunk release here on the keys. Pop it open. And you actually do get a pretty decent sized trunk, which is actually really nice for an economy car like this. The Mitsubishi Mirage was the same way as well. The Sedan really had fantastic back area, and that's the same with the Sonic. So I'm very happy to report that the trunk is actually very, very large, very nice, and a very key feature of the Sonic. Now we got to talk about the looks. And first of all, let's do a walk around of this car. I like the look of it. I think it is kind of aggressive and has some good design cues here and there. I don't think it's an overly amazingly pretty car. I also don't think it's terrible either, and I pleasantly enjoy it. However, something very interesting that the owner pointed out to me was that the roof is actually the same exact sheet metal that you would find on the Sonic hatch, which is interesting because the Sonic hatch is shorter than the Sedan, at least in terms of roof. So you end up having this giant rear window along the back of this car, which I think is absolutely hilarious. And I'm thankful the owner pointed out to me. I think that's very, very funny. But now let's get on to my final thoughts. What do I think finally driving a Chevy Sonic? Well, I actually think that this car is pretty good for what it was offering. Now, this specific car has a little bit interesting of a backstory. It was actually purchased during the COVID-19 pandemic from Hertz Rent-A-Car in Chicago. So Hertz was going out of business because no one was renting cars. So what did they do? They sold off part of their fleet, actually a majority of their fleet. And this is one of the cars that they sold off. So if you rented a car in Chicago pre-pandemic, you might have actually driven this car. And so this was a COVID purchase, and it was purchased by the owner Joshua as a form of just inexpensive transportation. Some people, that's all that they need. I'm a car enthusiast. I love cars, and I love buying and selling and experiencing new cars. But not everyone needs that. Some people just need to get A to B and have it work reliably. And I have to say that this is a pretty good choice. Now, the 1.4 liter turbo does make me a little bit hesitant just in terms of reliability. It is a GM product. It does have a turbo. Those two things normally aren't the craziest things when it comes to reliability. But right now, with 47,000 miles, it's doing just fine. Minus a water pump. But the positive side of that 1.4T is that it actually is fun to drive. It's engaging, and I have usable power where the Mitsubishi Mirage didn't have any. That is true basic transportation, that car. Well, this adds a little bit of flair to that, a little bit quicker. And I think with a manual transmission, I think it really would be quite the fun little cruiser because the engine is very zippy. It's held down by the 6-speed a little bit, which is fine. But I'm just saying. Overall, I really like the Sonic. You know, I actually am kind of growing fond of these cars. The more and more I look at them and the more I see people modifying the 1.4 turbos and seeing them put body kits and wheels and stuff, I actually sort of like this car, and I think this is going to be one of those cars that we look back on right before the electrification of everything and be like, that was a fun little economy car. That made the little cute fart noises that cars used to make. That had a little turbo. It was this little thing that went on engines to make them go faster. That was good. That was sort of the end of good economy cars before everything became electric. I think people are going to be saying that in 10 to 15 years' time. Production of the Sonic ended on October 20th, 2020, while sales were not only declining, but GM needed the room to continue making the Bolt EV and the Bolt EUV in the Orion assembly plant. So, in order to make room in the production facility, they got rid of the Sonic to build electric cars. And that's sad to me because people need reliable, cheap transportation. These cars, these Sonics are not expensive. They weren't expensive new. They're not expensive now. They get you from point A to point B. They make little turbo noises. That's it. That's all you need. And it's good at doing that. But now, what's the cheapest electric car you can get? $30,000? $35,000 maybe? And I'm talking actually purchased, not just advertised on the website. It's tough. This car filled a purpose, and I think the need for them is going to become more and more as time goes on. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to Joshua for letting me take out his Chevy Sonic. This thing was really, really cool. I was so glad I was able to finally get my hands on it. Joshua has been absolutely awesome to work with, very flexible schedule, and I am very, very appreciative. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.